In Jesus' time, the most important value was honor. A person's honor was everything. And it was something where you couldn't really, through your own efforts, ever really improve your social status. You were who you were, tied into your family, and there wasn't much room usually for advancement. So public honor, how you were seen by others, what other people thought of you became so important. And that's why Jesus tells the story. He makes such a big deal about if you have to go to a lower place. Because the fact is, at a banquet, the chairs or the couches, whatever, they were set up according to places of honor. The closer to the host, the more honorable of a person you were, the more you were to be held in public esteem. The more people were supposed to look at you and go, "Ooh, you must be important." And one of the worst things that you could do then was to be embarrassed in public. So, Jesus, he says, don't fight for how people are going to define you. God already knows your goodness, your value, your worth. And this second part, if you got invited to a dinner that somebody was giving, social customs required you to invite that person to your place. If you didn't, that was a sign of dishonor on your part. You were ungrateful. And so it could then become a perpetual dinner. Oh, I owe you. Oh, now you owe me. Oh, now I owe you. We have that in some ways today. Here's a gift. Oh, I didn't get you anything. And I hate that feeling. Jesus said, give to the people who can't give back to you. And everybody in the crowd gasped and went, "Yeah, you can't do that. How are you ever going to get dinner invites?" Yeah, Jesus, you're going to force us to get pizza delivered all the time. When I was in the seminary, one of my profs, he said something just absolutely amazing. He told us when we were preaching, he said, "Gentlemen, don't give them hell. Just give them heaven. And that will be hell enough for a lot of them." And for the most part, I have tried to live by that. But today, I think the gospel asks me to give you hell. Give him L. Glad I'm not holding it upside down. It'd be stupid for me to say, give him 7. Give him L. Because this gospel challenges us to remember. L. Who are the ones that Jesus is closest to? He tells us over and over and over again in the Gospels. L. Well, who is L? Final notice. With this notice, good Christian society is hereby advised of the heavenly wedding feast. First, no reserved seating, including people distinguished by years of service in the church choir. Nothing personal. Second, seating to be arranged by unconventional criteria. Third, preparation is advised for the possibility of finding oneself in the company of all types of people, including those one may have totally despised on earth. If there are groups of people that you hate, that you have a prejudice against, they're going to be in heaven. If you somehow make it there, is it going to feel like heaven? L. Who is L? L is the friends of Jesus. Jesus challenges us to pay special attention. The church challenges us to give a preferential option to the least, the lost, and the last. We don't tend to do that. They don't fit in the upper strata of our society, of our American dream, of our way of thinking. The least, the last, and the lost. Those are the ones that Jesus says, I ask you to be church in order to care about. So Pope Francis, early on in his pontificate, he had a beautiful line. He said, the church needs to be more like a field hospital. Because who needs that? The least, the last, the lost. The famous satirist George Bernard Shaw said, success comes to those who are able to climb over others. People on their way to the top push others down in their upward climb. Those who don't make it must not have had what it takes. It all sounds quite harmless, but it helps us to recognize how far our society has moved away from the spirit of the Gospels. In this day and age, those with wealth, those with power, and that includes so many of us. Maybe we're not in the 1%, but we're still doing pretty darn well. The least, the last, and the lost. They're the ones that God is inviting to come up higher. If we're not down there with them, maybe we're the ones who will be embarrassed. Take a lower place. Once upon a time on a Sunday morning, not so very long ago, a family was rushing from their car to the church. They had been slightly delayed getting to church because the torrential rain had caused flooding of the local streets and slow driving on the main roads. The mom was to be a Eucharistic minister, and the dad was scheduled for the first reading. As they hurried down the block from the parking lot, they passed a homeless man selling a bi-weekly paper, the proceeds from which went to help the homeless. The parents looked the other way and urged their children to move quickly. When the daughter asked why they didn't buy the paper, the dad responded, "It's just a ripoff. If those people would just get jobs, we wouldn't have to put up with them in front of our church. They don't belong here, so we shouldn't encourage them." The dad, who prided himself on being an excellent reader, was quite pleased when people told him how well he presented the words from Sirach about the need for humility. Here we are. Jesus asking us to care, to form a society that cares for his friends, the least, the last, and the lost. Could be a very, very interesting banquet when we all get there.